1 o'clock Sunday to Thursday predominantly, and up to 3 a.m. on a Friday and Saturday night. You'll note that the hours being proposed are the same for the licensed activities, right up till closing. There's no ability for drinking up time has been allowed for within the hours requested, and the alcohol sales would be for on sales. Chair. During the course of the consultation period, representations were received from the licensing authority. And Chair, if I take you through the report pack, please. So the applicant is saying that the premises would be operated as a cafe restaurant, ground floor only, with there's indoor seating area for customers to sit down and consume food and alcohol. And Chair, if I point you to the plan of the premises on page 33 of the pack, which shows the entrance there, marked cafe. Then there is no space, well, an empty space and a kitchen at the back. The premises, Chair, just to point out that the premises was visited on the 25th of September. And I'm sure the licensing officer will go into the details of this more, but there were alcohol was found to be on sale on that day. And within the vacant middle area there, the premises was being used by the customers for internal shisha smoking and the consumption of alcohol that evening. As the panel knows, you can't actually, or you're not permitted by law to be smoking inside an enclosed premises, Chair. And I believe a warning was given out, and there is pending prosecution on that matter, Chair. On page 35 of the pack, there is the offered conditions from Mr. Gisor, and you will see, which I will touch on later on in the pack, Chair. We have also an information letter on page 45, which is from the London Fire and Civil Defence Fire Authority, Chair. So as I say, the application did receive representations, Chair. The premises, as I said, is situated along the High Road N17, next door to Betfred. And as I said, it does comprise of the 3 sections, with the middle room, which is vacant on the plan, with no direction from there as to whether or not that's supposed to be a licensed area or not. So Mr. Gisor will need to clarify that for you when he speaks. Chair, in relation to the Fire Authority's letter at page 45, so following on from the enforcement visit on the 25th, and the concerns raised with the internal smoke, with the smoking taking place inside and no adequate means of fire escape, the matter was referred on to Planning Authority, onto the Fire Authority, and also the Health and Safety and Food Hygiene officers also. The Fire Authority have since come back and issued a warning notice to Mr. Gisor, where they've asked that, well, clarify that there was no evidence of a suitable, sufficient fire risk assessment record or otherwise, no evidence of emergency lighting throughout the premises or adequate escape signage. The travel distances were of concern because you need another, they can't rely on the front door entrance alone for means of escape. There's got to be a secondary means of escape because of the length of the shop, basically. So the people who would have been in the rear, so to speak, in the so-called shisha area, would have needed another means of escape if that was to be the case. There was no or limited fire separation between the kitchen and the smoking room, as we're calling it. And there was no evidence as to whether the material covering the smoking room ceiling and the furniture within the smoking room was either or non or highly flammable, Chair. Since this visit, Mr. Gazor has in fact informed us that he is not intending to now use that vacant middle room as a shisha lounge. Planning have also advised that the premises did have planning permission up until February 2020. It doesn't at this moment, so he would need to apply for planning permission, even to be a cafe, in fact, right now. And certainly if he was wanting to use that middle area as a shisha lounge, that would also need to be subject to a separate planning application. But as I said, Mr. Gizor has said that he's not intending to use this area for shisha purposes going forward, Chair. But obviously you are able to question him on that. Chair, I put on the report there that the enforcement team will be seeking to do a prosecution on this matter going forward. At section 3 of the report here, you have there the licensing policy matters. I won't read through them because I know you're well versed with them, and the panel's well versed with them, and you're able to discuss them further with the lawyer when you're deliberating. Just to highlight, Chair, that the licensing hours consideration, there are residential above the premises. Yeah, there are residential properties above the premises. It seems from Street View 2 rows above, in fact. Chair, just to remind the panel that in terms of the powers available to the licensing authority this evening, it may determine to grant the application as requested, or to impose conditions, or to remove an activity that's been requested from the schedule, or to exclude any license of it, to be able to reject the whole or part of the application. Sorry, Chair, I'm being asked to clarify by legal the planning position. So at this moment in time, there is no planning permission on 775 High Road. As I said, the temporary permission that was granted for it to be used as A3 expired in 2020. I can get the month in a moment. And planning have advised that a new application would need to be submitted if they wanted to operate as A3, and certainly a separate application in any event if they were wanting to use it as a middle area as a shisha lounge going forward. Planning also advised that in their view the closing would be 11, 12 o'clock at the latest, but obviously that would be subject to any planning application that they would subsequently be served with. Just to remind the council that, sorry, the panel, that the Section 17 of the Crime and Disorder Act does come into your consideration, as does the Human Rights Act on this application, Chair. And Chair, there I'll leave if you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Oh dear, I hear myself. Anyway, it seems you have problems with the IP tonight. Can I ask, and maybe you're not the right person to answer this, but and tell me if that's the case. I read somewhere about the places, there are some works at the moment, building works that is on the premises. Could I ask whether, if you know that is, whether the planning control is being involved in this or not?
I'm not aware of planning control being involved at this moment, the Chair. When I spoke to Mr. Gizor, he did say that there was some issue with the roof, in particular where the shisha smoking was taking place. And he had some, or was waiting on some further instructions or assistance from Betfred, but he'll be able to explain that to you when he speaks to you, Chair. But I'm not aware of planning being involved in any matters relating to 775 High Road at this moment.
And another question for you, again, I'm not sure if you can answer this. about the planning issue and licensing. Should they have planning first before they come to licensing, or it doesn't matter? Remind me. I should know, but I'm not sure.
Right. So we would always encourage them to sort out their planning in the first instance. Obviously, it is a separate process.
Yeah.
So, you know, the licensing committee are able to consider the licensing application that you have before you, regardless of the planning permission, the planning status.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Councillor Luke Harrison, you got your hand up?
Thanks, Chair. Yep. I was wondering, Dale, whether you're aware, or the council is aware, when they began operating from. It sounds like the 25th was a chance thing.
I really could not tell you, Chair. Obviously, they've been trying to. It's taken quite a few weeks, in fact, for the application to have been submitted in, because it kept on being rejected for various mistakes. But yeah, I think that on the 25th, it was the night of the AJ fight taking place across the road at the stadium, and yeah, like you say, it could have been an opportunistic thing. But certainly, when officers went in there, the optics were actually up on the wall, and all the drinks displayed like it'd been set up fully for operation already. So and the conversation had was, well, I put in my license, so I'm able to operate. And we had to say, well, no, it doesn't. That's not how it works. You actually do need to wait until the application has been granted.
Okay. Do you have a date of when they put in a first application, even a refusal?
I will need to check that and let you know.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Not from me at the moment, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Can I ask the applicant, see if you have any questions for the officer?
Of course, she's right in most of the things she said, Ms. Barrett. She's a very kind woman, and she does help a lot for every business, which I am aware of. And I want to apologise for the mistake that we've done. We're not going to be giving you reasons why we've done the mistakes. The mistake was done on the 25th of September. But I just want her and the committee to know that.
Oh, you have a chance. You have a chance to do your presentation.
Okay.
And speak up. At this point, I'd like to ask if you have any questions, anything you want to clarify from the report.
Oh, we're not going to have any shisha, so that's out of the water now. That's something that we're not going to do, and hopefully we'll do anything we can to get the business run as smoothly as we can.
Okay. If you don't have any questions, I will ask the licensing officer. Is that Michelle? Did she say? I can't see her.
It's Nashar Bashar, Chair.
Sorry, yes.
Chair,
can you hear us? Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Chair.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. In that case, we'll come to your report.
Sorry, Chair, can I just come back to Councillor Corley Harrison, please? So the first date when it was refused was the 20th of August this year. Okay.
Thank you. Nasha, Licensing Authority, please introduce your report.
Thank you, Chair. As you will have read in my representation that's already provided in the report, I'll go through some of the details for it. Ms. Barrett has already informed you that the officers visited on the 25th of September at 9:45 and alcohol was being served, and officers asked the management on site to stop selling. However, officers had cause to visit the premises again on the same night, and it was observed that staff were letting customers in through a door which had keypad entry code access. And officers then requested Mr. Giswar, to open the door so they could see what was happening. Mr. Giswar reluctantly provided access, and officers entered to find about 12 people seated in an additional space smoking shisha. This room had no clear ventilation. It was not 50% open. and their area was set in blue lighting with music being played and alcohol was in front of each customer. Mr. Giswa was warned to stop offering shisha at the premises as it was unsafe and he had not taken the necessary steps to ensure public safety. Licensing authority cannot support this application for following reasons. The plans submitted are not adequate. They do not show the correct layout of the area being licensed. However, I am aware that Mr. Giswa has now stated he's not using it for shisha. And of course, the planning permission. We also believe that the hours are being applied for are excessive and should be reduced due to the residential premises above. The management of the premises have shown that they have not researched or considered their responsibilities under the law for the type of activities they wish to offer. We have no confidence in the application submitted by Mr. Giswa and feel that in order to ensure that the objective of the prevention of crime and disorder is upheld and promoted, we are opposing the application for the ability to sell and supply alcohol or provide any licensable activity from this premises. The applicant is still able to operate as a cafe until 11 p.m. each day without the need to sell alcohol. The times we're offering are listed in my representation with conditions attached. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Very clear report. Are there any questions?
We just want to say that.
First, I will ask members if they're councillors, if they have any questions, and then I will come to you.
Okay.
No questions, Chair.
Okay.
No questions.
He doesn't seem to have any questions. Okay. Do you have any questions, the applicants? Either of you?
We have done a mistake, but we are trying to open a business we have to sell alcohol to be able to run the business. We're not going to be able to afford the rent. We just paid up around £65,000 for the lease of the property. Yes, we have done a mistake. I'm underlining that. I apologize, but without alcohol, the business is not going to be able to trade because, as you're aware, we have a new stadium just opposite, and we have the largest bar in the United Kingdom.
No, you, as I said earlier on, you will be able to do your presentation in a minute. Do you have any specific questions for the licensing officer?
Well, I've been living in the area for 30 odd years in North London, just up the road in Edmonton, behind the hospital. And I know all the premises owners at there, and I know their license as well. I checked their license, and they seem fine, even though having people living upstairs.
Okay.
So I just wanted them to consider that all the licenses they're like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just feeling a bit.
That's for the panel to decide later on when we have a discussion. At this point, the licensing officer is just recommendations to us.
Just let them know. Just let them know that there's not going to be any
if you don't have any questions, I will ask you to do your presentation because you seem to be doing that already. Would you like to speak about your application? Now you feel free to say what you want to tell us.
No, I can. If this is time to ask questions, it's fine. I don't want to ask any questions. I would make my presentation afterwards, so there's no need to waste people's time.
Okay. Would you like to do your presentation now? Would you like to speak to us?
Yes, if that's okay with yourself, of course.
Yes, please do. Okay,
there is 2 social clubs at the just neighbours of us, which have a premises license, and they trade too late. We have restaurants that trade too late. We have kebab shops that trade too late with alcohol licenses, and I have actually helped them with their alcohol licenses, you know, and they have done mistakes, but we can't talk about other people's mistakes, of course. We have to talk about our mistakes, which is, again, I'm underlining, we are very sorry we've done a mistake, but we are here, 2 young people trying to open a business, trying to run a business. We don't want to, if we're not going to get the license, then we just have to start from scratch our lives, because we just put everything into that business. And not having a license doesn't make a sense to run a business in that area, especially. Because if you have a look, you have off license, you have another cafe there which has alcohol license. You have Bedford, which is next door, which is open till 10 o'clock. You know, you're saying that there's people living above, but they're causing so much trouble there. So being punished this way by saying that we're not going to be able to have an alcohol license, I don't accept it, I'm afraid. Yes, we have done a mistake, but it shouldn't be punished this way. So please understand that we are trying to do a business. We have done a mistake and we learn from it. And secondly, when they first came to the premises at 9:45, I think it was on 25th, when I think everyone was drunk on the streets. Everyone was just walking into the streets because there was like 100,000 people because of the boxing fight. And we had so much issues on the road. We, as a person walking on the road, I had so much issues. When they walked into the premises, they warned us, and then the people inside, we couldn't take them out because they were already came in drunk. So we can't touch them. We can't start a fight. And if you want me to tell the customers, excuse me, can you please move out? They'll start fighting. So I waited for them to come out, but I never take anyone in. When the officer opened the door, somebody just walked out, and that was the conclusion that they made. People were coming in and out. I think we have camera proofs that no one actually came in, but we're waiting for them to come out with no issues like fighting, swearing, because they were all alcohol. They drank alcohol from the biggest, longest bar in the United Kingdom, which is Tottenham Stadium, which they have the longest bar. So they came out from there drunk, and we're getting punished. We are wrong by serving them the alcohol, which I understand, which I apologize again, but everything didn't start from us, but it got worse where we were. So I just want that to be understood, because mistake that we done, we accept it. But please don't punish us by telling us you can't have alcohol license in that property. Then we just lost everything. Then we might as well shut the premises and go, because no coffee shop's going to make any business there. I'm sorry, they won't, because the rest are struggling anyway. And not being able to serve on the match day alcohol, then we actually, that's why we opened, to serve alcohol. And if we're not going to have it, then we might as well just end this conversation and just close the premises and walk away. And my friend wants to say something as well.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. When Miss Barron coming on the 25th of September, she told us to take out from the display the alcohols. She's asking me, she acknowledged that I'm in the applying the premises license. So she asked me, why you sell the alcohol? So I told her, someone is give me, now I accept my mistake, but at that time, some people, when they told me, that's why I said for her, on the moment when she asking me, then the second time when she's coming, the display alcohols, what she told me before earlier when she's coming, is already taken out from display. Then when she's coming on the second time, nobody, I can't provide CCTVs. No, it's closed door. When Miss Barron coming on the premises, it's the outside door is closed. But someone, when they go out, it's Miss Barron and her colleagues coming inside. That's what's happening, because nobody is sitting in the front. If Miss Barron, she can't tell, it's in the backside. So she wanna see in the backside. So I showed her. So she says we cannot. We already take off from the bar. So we cannot stay for the people who are drinking. So we need to wait them to go out. Then on the night, she asking me all the details of the premises. For example, like my details, everything, and for fire risk assessment, and also another thing she asking me is for the, like, for food and hygiene. She sent me someone, and I already deal with the fire risk assessment. I did. There is London fire brigade. His name is Simon. He's coming my premises, and on the 8th of October, then he see the place, and he told me to he sent me the list of the fire risk assessors, is that they are professionals. The one he sent me the link. I am on the process of the backside on the kitchen area. They are leaking from Bitford. The water is coming, so I'm waiting. That's why I closed 2 weeks in the middle. Then the fire risk assessment on the 2nd of November, he's coming. I emailed for Miss Barrett. I opened on the 2nd of November, and I said for her for risk assessment as well. I have appointment, so the guy's coming from like, even he knows Simon as well. He's like the one Simon told me. I did 52 pages of the risk assessment. They're coming, they're taking pictures, everything. I already deal with the fire risk assessment, and for planning permission, Miss Parent asking me for planning permission is for Shisha Lounge. I haven't put it in the sitting area or when I apply my license. After that, I sent her the new planning permission for Miss Parent, including sitting area only, no more shisha in the premises, because I stopped everything. I don't have more knowledge before Miss Parent coming in the premises. So that's why in my experience, Miss Barrett helping me, because if I got the license as well, I didn't know these things. So I accept my mistakes, and I did what Miss Barrett told me for risk assessment, and for food and hygiene as well. On the 2nd of November, I emailed for the food hygiene. There is one girl. She told me she confirmed me by email she's coming soon. So I don't know where she's coming, but because I have done the jobs for the kitchen, the leaking for the Bitford. So the Bitford is they did all the sealing. When Simon as well, when he's coming, Simon, the London Fire Brigade, he saw us for what they did for the sealing. That's why I closed for 2 weeks. Then for Miss Parent, what she told me, I did everything for flaming, even for that 52 pages I sent for Simon for risk assessment. So he told me, that's good, I will coming soon to assess what he said for me you have done. So he told me like this. So I'm waiting for food and hygiene as well, and for Simon as well. This is what I have done after Miss Parent told me. Then the 16th of October, 11 o'clock, around 11 o'clock, there is 2 guys coming from council. The door is closed, and they asking me to get inside. They're knocking the door. They're asking me to get inside. I said it's already closed, so we need to know people. They need to sit inside. You are selling alcohol, they told me, so I can't get them inside. I have CCTV footage. I can get them inside. They see everything. There is no alcohol selling, consuming, shisha, everything. They checked it and they gone. This is what's happening until now. So if you can, I'm really sorry for what I did. I did a mistake to selling alcohol, but this alcohol license I have from 2016, and I'm responsible person because of I bring my daughter from back home. I am a single dad for 5 years. I'm struggling life to get to better. So on the moment, I don't know, I did a mistake for licensing, but 100% I'm a single dad. I have 12 years daughter, and I've been living with her, me and her only for 5 years now. So I'm a responsible person. Just I'm panicking on the day Miss Parent when she's coming. I told them to go out the people from inside consuming, but they said we can't finish the drink. That's why. And if you go to Google, put it my name, Bikal, and I have nickname DJ AB. You can't see it. I did a lot of events. I did so many impasses. I play DJs and I do events, parties with this license, consuming alcohol for the I rent places and I am applying for councils. For example, like Lambeth Council, I did so many jobs. Islington in Chalk Farm as well, I did so many jobs. You
Okay.
can't see it on Google. So
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Right. I will. Do the councillors have any questions first? Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, a couple of questions. So what I feel hasn't really been addressed is why you opened up the premises without a license, having had license applications rejected, and without planning permission, and why you allowed smoking inside, which is against the law, or ultimately. I don't think anyone's going to necessarily dispute what you have done since, and you admit that you made a mistake. But I think what we need to understand is what led to that mistake being made. And because we have to decide whether you're responsible. And so we have to understand the process that got you to deciding to open up on that evening, or perhaps on other evenings as well. And I'd also like to address the fact that you don't have planning permission at the moment. In your representation, you obviously spoke about, if you don't get license, then obviously, it's not a viable business. But of course, if you don't get planning permission for it to be an A3 premises, then it's also not a viable business. So what's your consideration in that respect? And also, if you can help us understand what the middle room is going to be used for that's indicated on the plans. Is there going to be any changes so that the whole space is opened up? Are you going to be keeping that as a separate room that's not going to be used? Because if there are plans for it to be changed, we need to know about those so that we can consider them. Because at the moment, it's not labelled at all on the application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The middle room, the one you said it is for, I put it only check now, and the ceiling will be, the fire brigade told me it's flaming, there is a flaming like to fire, so we put it plasterboard, we put fire alarms, everything. Maybe when you come in next time you can check it.
It's going to be chairs and tables for people to sit down, basically to have their food, and if we get busy, that's what's going to be, of course. What led to the thing was I wasn't there personally myself. My dad is in intensive care and still is. I had a personal license for the last 15 years. I know how the license things work, but unfortunately, my colleague here hasn't told me what was happening. So I think he's got a bit excited because of the boxing game. And he thought, because he spent so much money, what we're going to tell you now is the truth from inside of ourselves, because I don't think there's no need to go around circle and start lying and make things up. So because he spent so much money on the business and there was nothing coming in and he had to pay the rent, so he thought this was an opportunity. This is an opportunity for anyone, even if you have a little store just put outside on the street, you will make money. So he wasn't aware that people would come and control or check, especially of course, the licensing team. But because my dad's in intensive care and it still is at the National Urology Hospital, I wasn't there and I wasn't aware of what he did. So I blame him myself as well because I was supposed to tell him don't open it, but he knows you're not supposed to. So he just took advantage of the circumstances of the event. We make a little bit of money and paid the rent, and then because he has so much stress, he's got his daughter and everything. So I told him when he done it, I told him you've done a big mistake. You're not supposed to serve alcohol. You need to do your planning permission. And the leaseholder, the freehold owner, who has so many freeholds on that line, he owns about 6-7 of them, I think. He stated, don't worry, nothing will happen. So he gave him that comfort. Nothing will happen, don't worry, because he gave him the comfort. If he loses, he's going to lose. If he makes money, he's going to get his rent. So he's been a child on that side, which is something that I can't accept. And I know how you can feel, but this is the truth. So no need to lie, no need to go around the circle. It was just an opportunity to make money, but it didn't work out well. It made it worse. And now he can end up losing so much money, which is good for the landlord who pushed him to do it, because he can chuck him out and then sell the lease as a goodwill to someone else and make extra money. So unfortunately, it's something that's done. We haven't killed anyone. We haven't made any trouble, which there is so many trouble on events day, but we done a mistake.
You haven't answered the question about the councillor's question about planning.
We was told that if you're cooking food in the store, you need to A3 license. But if you get anything like nothing cooked or already cooked food in, you don't need the license. Am I right or am I not? I'm not sure. So you can serve food, but if it's not cooking on the premises.
So I think there's a separation here between what you're applying for, which is a license, and planning permission for how the premises is used. And I think from the officer's report at the start, there was an indication that at the moment there wasn't planning permission for the actual premises to be used as a cafe or restaurant, but perhaps Ms. Barrett can confirm.
That's correct. Yes, I did check with the planning enforcement officer, who advised that there was a temporary change of use for the premises to operate under A3, but that expired in February 2020, I believe. So even if you're wanting to operate as a cafe, the advice is still to go back and have a conversation with planning. It may not be a massive hurdle for you to obtain the planning permission to have an A3, but you still do need to do that. You need to that.
We're now aware of what is happening. We now know what to do. But of course, again, the landlord, he must have given the wrong information. When you said he's got A3 license, temporary A3 license until 2020, then he must have thought that was just ongoing thing. So when he got the leasehold, he stated, yeah, you can use that as A3, you can use it as this, but it's not. You have to check you have to look at the license department. You have to call the license department. You have to make sure before you give that much money to someone just for a premises, which is something that we haven't done. So now we are suffering the mistakes.
I think if you don't mind, Miss Sainz, you seem to be confusing. It's two different obligations. Planning is different obligation, different department, and license is different obligation. You seem, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding. I'm making a mistake, but you seem to get the two mix, if I may say so. Do you have any questions? Luke, you want to come in?
Well, I just wanted to have confidence that the applicants realise that regardless of what happens today, or obviously when they get the answers within a week, they still need to put in a planning application, and that we are confident that they understand that and will do that, and that they can't operate until planning permission is granted, and obviously for serving alcohol, that licensing was granted as well. Not a question. I just want to make sure that they're aware of that, really. Yeah. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Blake.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Hassan, is that?
Hussein.
Hussein.
Yeah.
you introduced yourself as a work colleague.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, could you just clarify, when you say a work colleague, are you a manager? Are you a partner? Could you just clarify what your role is, please?
Well, I am going to be a partner with the gentleman. That's how we started the business together. But I told him that until we get the business sorted out, I'm not going to invest any money in it until you get the lease under your name, until this business starts to running. But unfortunately, he's done a mistake now. But I'm not going to let him go because I'm going to fight for it. I am going to be the partner of the business if everything goes smoothly. But I'm not going to let him go by himself, even if he doesn't.
Okay. If I could just ask a few more questions,
Yes.
Chair. I mean, you have talked and said that you made mistakes, both of you. And as with Councillor Corley Harrington, I want to be assured that you are responsible people who, and it's not just about making mistakes, it's actually about running your business, in line with the regulations that we have, but also being aware of your neighbours and residents who live close, in close proximity to you. I mean, it can't just be that you say, well, we made a mistake. Are you confident that you are going to know enough about the rules and regulations in getting your business going forward? And are you aware? I mean, this is a residential area where you're operating. So, do you think about the neighbours, or, I mean, do you engage with neighbours? Do you think about the neighbours, or are you going to do that in the future? Thank you.
Okay. I can just answer to some questions. We are responsible people. Of course, we can't just say it was a mistake, but it was an opportunity that my colleague tried to take. This was a big mistake, but I have 4 kids myself. I have 4 daughters, and he has a daughter and has been a single parent. If I had the keys of the property from the first day, no issues would have happened. But because my dad is still in intensive care, I did not been able to even go into the business yet. So my colleague has made a big mistake. We are aware of everything, and we are, of course, in talk with our neighbours, everyone. The next door is a Bedford, and the other side is a restaurant as well. Upstairs, we've got residents, we have kids that lives there. We're not going to start selling alcohol and start trouble, example, after 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Our aim is to serve alcohol when there's a match day, because we're not going to be able to make any income if we start selling alcohol to anyone passing on the street. That's not our aim. Our aim is not cause any trouble. We are trying to be responsible. I am a responsible parent. He is more responsible than me, even though I have 4 kids. But we are aware of everything, and we are aware of the mistake we've done. It's not going to happen again, but we want you to give us the opportunity to hopefully show this. And we are going to put planning permission, planning permit for the permission for the premises, and we make sure that our business doesn't give any trouble to the to the community and to the local authority, and we're definitely sure that won't happen. I am definitely sure, because I'm going to have the keys from him, and then hopefully start everything smoothly, because I'm sure I know how it works, but the gentleman just took the opportunity at the wrong time, at the wrong event, and he's never supposed to take it anyway. We could have used our personal license. If I was there, I could use my personal license, and I'm not going to be able to sell alcohol anyway. That's ridiculous. I had it for like 15 years, and I never had any single trouble. And it's just a mistake trying to take the advantage of the big events that's happened in North London. We never had any events this large, and he just took the advantage because he knew that he had to pay rents. The landlord pushes him. It's all round the circle. It's a time where your brain is just going focused on one thing, and we realised how much big mistake we made when Miss Barrett walked in. And she's been so good that she's trying to help us to do everything in a way that the local authority can accept, and we really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, but first of all, I'm going to ask Ms. Barrett, she wants to come in.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of points. So, Councillor Blake already picked up the question with Mr. Hussain, really, because obviously he's not appeared on any of the paperwork thus far. So, yeah, clarity as to what your involvement is really quite crucial to this, because obviously you're doing the main talking, whereas Mr. Bikal is actually the person who submitted the application and is the one who, you know, is putting himself forward as both the license holder, to be the proposed license holder and the proposed DPS at the premises. Also, Chair, just to clarify, so what Mr. Hussain was just saying, so about, you know, their intention was not, or they couldn't survive on just selling alcohol to people passing. The application submitted was for alcohol sales to be on the premises anyway, so there is no off-sales ability on here, so people can't buy alcohol and take it off the premises. It's for on sales and consumption on site. And certainly in relation to the hours being requested also with the you've got residential upstairs. So in effect, if this premises license was to be granted with a 3 a.m. on a Friday night with recorded music being available, 3 a.m. would be fine in the context of what's been applied for on the application, because it's unamplified music that's going to be done, which is good, because, you know, there's going to, unamplified means it's not going to have any breakout and then, you know, intrude on residents nearby. And I don't know if that was an intentional or if that was a mistake that you've got there on page 18, that the music would be unamplified. But certainly if it was going to be amplified music, then there would be an issue with that being till 3 a.m. in the morning with residential nearby. Okay. Can I ask Mr. Gizor if there is an updated plan, please, that the licensing authority could be provided with that shows the means of escape, so forth, and whatever fire safety works have now been undertaken on the premises? Has that middle door, for instance, been removed to make the premises into one whole unit? Or, yeah, we would need to have an updated plan to show exactly what's gone on there. And we would also need to have sight of the fire risk assessment that you've had. You said you've had a 42-page document served on you by an independent assessor. If we could have sight of that, please, so that we know exactly what needs to be carried out on site.
Okay, I will send you by email everything what he said for me, and to fix he approached me to do some things, but probably after Simon what he's mentioned, I already did 90%. The Simon what the only thing left is to second exit. For the second exit, what he's recommending is to they have water something on the walls. You can put the water for, if anything happens, the water comes out, something like that. So that's why the Simon, the fire brigade, told me he's gonna come and talk in face to face. He told me, that's why I'm waiting, but I'll send you the email what on the 3rd November I did the fire risk assessment. They come in and they take every picture, and even he attached what he's taking the picture in the premises on the file.
Okay, Mr. Bikal, it's like I was saying to you previously, it's very difficult for the committee to therefore be trying to determine your application in its current format, because obviously the public safety element of it is quite important, and members need to be assured or to be given some kind of reassurance and confidence from yourselves that the necessary works that are required will be undertaken, but also we've not had the document to show us what the fire risk assessor has actually identified. I mean, we know that it does need an additional escape route at the back, and so that is a must. But we do need to see that documentation, please.
Yeah, so can I send it to you now?
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, you covered my concern, I was going to ask the same question about the fire exit actually, and I'm not quite sure of the response. Could you say whatever you intend to have a fire exit at the back, and if you are, what is the timetable for that? How long before you actually do that?
Exit.
The back, there is no back exit. Even from my next neighbors, 3-4 doors I have, so there is no exit in the back side. But when they did the fire risk assessment, it's old restaurants, but the next one the same like me, further that more than 25 meters from the door until in the back. But I go someplace in next doors as well. There is no way to go out because it's already the next. There is no block, just only ceilings to the above.
So let me make sure I understand this. It's not possible to have a fire exit. Is that what you say?
Many of the premises there, they haven't got fire exits.
Well, I'm not asking about other premises because I don't know what they are. I'm asking about the place you
can't have a back doors because there's no back door, there's a wall. So there is no space to have any fire exits.
But if you have people sitting in the middle room, anything goes wrong, they will be trapped. They have, how would they get out?
They have the middle door from, there is a middle door in the middle, then that door will be, you can go out like they have. I already, when I sent for Miss Parent for risk assessment, I put every details, lights, everything to go fire exit on that door. And the Miss Parent, she mentioned about the code, the security things on the paper. That thing will be, I'm applying for last 1 month before. They are trying to keep people coming in the back side and in the front side as well. So the people coming, they try to get inside. That's why I put the security things to close the middle door. In the back side, it's open, so anybody can go next door by flooring, roofing. You can't go next door. Bitford, you can't go by my ceiling. You can't go Bitford next door as well. So people, they're gonna get inside. That's why I closed that the code.
Chair, can I just suggest, please?
Yes.
Obviously, we've not seen a fire risk assessment, and I would envisage, if it's a reputable fire risk assessor, that he would then have taken into consideration the amount of meters in means of escape throughout the premises, especially if people are in the rear. And if there isn't a means of escape, then the capacity would have been limited. And normally it would be under 60. But, we've not seen the paperwork as yet, so I cannot say that would be what the independent person has suggested.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question? Are you going to provide food? Are you going to have a menu? You'll be providing food, and will your place be open to? How can I put it? It's not going to be a drinking club, is it? Just for men? Are you going to provide food? Will the families be able to come in? And that I'm trying to clarify what you're hoping to provide for the business.
We open to get. First, our options are for families to come in. It's not going to be like a social club or men's club, never in a million years, because the food that my colleague makes is going to be like, for families to able to come and sit down and eat with their kids. That's what our aim is. It's not going to be men's club, or it's not going to be just alcohol or social club, nothing like that. It's just a little small restaurant, kind of like a cafe.
Okay, thank you. If there is no more questions from members, can I ask the licensing officer, do you have any questions?
No, Chair. I'm sorry, Dale. I don't.
Okay. In that case, we don't have any additional. We don't need any additional information, I don't think. So, can I ask everyone to sum up, please? Would you want to start first, Mrs. Barrett?
So, no, thanks, Chair. I won't have to sum up. I think I've asked my questions and I've still got outstanding, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Would the licensing officer like to sum up?
Yes, Chair. For us, our representation does currently stand because we haven't seen all the paperwork. The plan is not up to date, what we have on records. Of course, the applicant is stating that he will let us have sight of that now. But our concern still is that they're requesting very late hours for regulated entertainment, and it will have an impact on residential premises above. And until we've seen the fire risk assessment and the plan, the ongoing concerns of means of escape for customers and staff at the premises. So I'd like to say that my representation at the moment still stands if the licensing subcommittee sees it fit to limit the hours and add the conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hussain, would you like to sum up?
No, I appreciate your time. If the hours 3 o'clock seems too much, we don't mind putting that down. If that's going to give you how we are trying to our best to be able to get the alcohol license to be able to trade. And we have stated it's the MASH days that we are really concentrated on. So we appreciate your decision, and we want to just again underline it. We apologize for our mistake.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you all for coming. And as I said at the beginning, the panel, we're going to have a discussion and make a decision, and you will be notified of our decision within 5 working days. I'd like to thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Good night.
Good night.